Hey everybody, this is Townsend. I'm a singer, songwriter, musician, and mental health advocate, and I started the You're Not Alone project and podcast to help educate, spread awareness, and simply help you feel a little less alone, no matter what you're going through. Thank you so much for tuning in to Season 2 of You're Not Alone with Townsend. Be sure to click the follow button and share these stories. You can also watch the interviews on our YouTube under Townsendtmusic. You can also keep up with the journey if you follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Townsendtmusic. Every like, follow, and share helps us continue to change lives. What is up, everybody? It is your host, Townsend. Welcome to You're Not Alone with Townsend. I've got a really special guest today. I've been seeing this guy pop up on my social media over and over and over. So I finally looked into his story, and I'm not going to lie, I kind of crept on you, and I went way back in your stories, and it is just amazing. So the video that I saw was of Oliver James, and it popped up, and he was just crying in his car talking about how his kids were learning how to read and coming home from school with all these things, and he didn't know how to read as an adult, and just how much that set him back. And so I was looking through your post, and you're just so vulnerable, and I knew immediately you would be perfect to have on the podcast because I'm all about being vulnerable, sharing stories, and just basically letting people know that they're not alone. And I think people would be blown away to know how many people are in the same boat you are, can't read or write.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch,
A
and,
whole
more than
bunch.
I thought.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm so proud of you, one, just for sharing your story, and two, thank you so much for being on here today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and introduce you. I could go on for days about how awesome I think you are, but I'm going to let you kind of introduce yourself. Who is Oliver James? So, where do you live? Do you have a job? Do you have kids? Whatever you want to share about yourself.
These things are hard because you never know what to fully get out, but
Yeah,
I can tell you from where I'm sitting today. I think that's one of the things I'm learning now. Every time I do one of these interviews, like I'm in a different place in my life.
that's right.
And where I'm at now in my life, I am 35 years old. I moved from Pennsylvania to California to pursue my dream as a personal trainer, inspiring like to be a motivational speaker later on in my days because I thought one day in my life I would teach myself how to read and then I would be able to get a career in something that I know I really would want to do. Those are like jobs that you see people do, but it comes with a lot of work.
Hmm.
And I wasn't willing to do that much work for something that I didn't know how to do in the first place, which is like teach myself like how to read or learning how to count or learning like do anything that you learn in school. I didn't get the right schooling. I was abused in elementary school by my teacher, and that caused like a spiral of what do we do with this kid? I pretty much didn't even go to any schooling, I was expelled every other year. I was one of the kids that sat inside the principal's office all year, had a perfect desk in there with a bag lunch every day. Like I
Yep.
was one of those kids. I really didn't just get any fair share to figure out what was going on in me. And fast forward to today, I'm figuring it out on my own. I'm teaching myself how to read. I'm figuring out I have mental health issues. I suffer from OCD, PTSD, anxiety. I like to just say I got a bunch of letters, any of them, an MTV, Beats, I don't care what it is, like
Yeah.
all the letters. So I suffer from a bunch of letters, and that's what we just go with. And I'm realizing that by teaching myself how to read. I'm learning how to read, and I'm realizing, hey, these are the things that were really wrong with you when you were in elementary school, not the things that they thought. And that's how we got to here today, teaching myself about my personal issues, growing, showing, and just seeing what can come from that.
Wow, that's amazing. One, I love the way you reference that's like vegetable soup, like, the little letters in the soup that pop
Yeah,
up. We're all
yeah,
kind of that, we're all kind of made up
yeah.
of these random letters.
hmm
Yeah,
Go to
you're
the doctors
so
and they're just
well.
like, "Oh, you have," and sometimes
That's
it's not even education. It can be anything. You just go to the doctors and like, "Oh, there you go. You got
there it is.
H223," and you're like, "Whoa, okay, what is this? What are these letters?" You're like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Just take two of these and you'll be fine." You're like,
That's it.
"What the heck?" I'm like, "There's more letters." I'm like, "Tell me about my letters, man." Like, so,
Where did these
so,
letters? Well, okay, yeah.
mhm,
I feel like we all have something, which is again why I
mhm,
started this podcast because I feel like people there's a stigma with it. I feel like people are afraid to talk about what their
mhm.
letters are. And I love
Yep.
that you word it like that, just totally regular. We all have letters. We all have something. And I
Mhm,
found that everybody I spoke to, so I do music full time, and I found after my gigs, chit chatting with people, everybody's got a story and everybody's got these letters and they're just kind of scared to share them. They don't want to be judged. And so you're perfect just to get on here and be like, man, here's where we are. And there are a lot of people that have this. Now, I want to point out you're incredibly well spoken. So it blows my mind that school like wasn't the thing for you.
Mhm. Um, this is the thing that you could kind of take from that. Because I didn't have the skills that I know I needed to move forward, I started to like emphasize on skills that I knew would help me.
Oh
So,
yeah.
you could get a real raw interview right now from a person that is in a position of growth. I'm in a position to become something bigger than I can ever imagine. But, in order for that to happen, I have to know where I stand, if
Mhm.
that makes any sense.
Sure.
Um, where I'm at right now is in a very ignorant place. Let's just say that. I'm in a very ignorant place trying to grow beyond that. And to start there, just accepting that, like, hey, I'm an ignorant person. Like, what? I'm like, I can really believe the things that are going on in my head and think that that's the right thing. And that's not true, right? Right now in my life, I'm in a position of constant growth. Like, basically saying, I might believe something, but I need to go get a third opinion before I think it's set. Like, because that's where I'm at. I need to make sure of that because my whole life I went off of me,
Yeah.
operating off my decisions, and those were very compulsive, very reactive, no no judgment behind it, no thing, and that's not the way life is. Life is about taking some time to understand that time, you know, makes that situation a lot, not just doing something. So
Yeah.
I'm at that place, like where I'm at in my life right now is like really right there, like literally focusing on the now and
Absolutely.
understanding that, yeah, like right now is it's hard to explain, but right now is exactly what you are. Letters, I'm not knowing how to read, I'm a father, beginning, I'm all, and it's like we're all that. I'm like, I'm all that. And then what? That's it. Like
Yeah.
we're
I
gonna take
love it.
one of those things and we're gonna work on it for 10 minutes today. There,
That's right.
there
I
you
love
go.
that so much
Take
though.
10
Like,
minutes and work on it. There you go.
yeah, I think
Yep.
that right there is a life lesson. We're right here, right now. Don't worry about the future. Don't worry about the past. That's something that people talk about all the time. We spend so much time worrying. Okay, so kind of backtracking a little bit. So recently, you've gotten a ton of attention from that video that I discussed
Mm.
earlier, talking about teaching yourself to read at 35 years old. What made you want to take that step? Like, what made you think, all right, 35, let's go?
You know, it's hard to again answer these questions because at the time that was the reason. Now I'm realizing like there's more reason.
Sure.
There's always more reason. And I think at that time it was just being tired. Tired
Yeah.
of asking questions and not getting answers. My whole life I'm asking questions and not getting answers. I'm getting in trouble, making many mistakes, but not getting any answers. So finally I was like, is this world a world of reacting to or a world to like sit and kind of, I don't know, I'm still learning that part. Like,
Sure.
I think at that time, I'm learning still from 3 years, all this is that I decided to jump in like right now and do something that most people don't want to do. I want to be a motivational speaker. I want to be a podcaster. I want to try to do things in the speaking world. I want to do, but I don't know. So I just jump in and do it and then get lost and mixed up in that,
Yeah.
and somehow. And that's kind of how it was then. I just was thinking like there's gotta be something. I don't know what, but I was literally drove to California, came to a beach, held a sign up and was like, I'm a personal trainer and please train with me. Like there was a sign like that. And the reason I did that is because I did not know how to go to a gym and get clients. I didn't know how to go fill out an application. Like so, like it was just pure go
Yeah.
and just try to do something more than you did yesterday. And there
Wow.
was a whole think of how many mistakes. Like I spent too much money. I lost so many friendships because people were like, that's the wrong way. Don't do this way. Don't do that. I'm like, what way? Because I can't read and I got mental health issues and I'm not financially stable. Help me. And then people, they that's where it gets stuck. They're like, well, yeah, you got mental health issues? Oh man, I can't do nothing with that. Oh, you don't got money?
Yeah.
Well, we all don't got money. I'm like, no, that's not helping. What we gonna do? He's like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, but see, now this is when I start to realize I'm gonna figure it out.
Yep.
That's it. Like,
Yep.
I'm gonna figure it out. I don't know. Standing on the side of the road with a sign was the first. You know how I picked up that when
Ah,
I came to California. It's big. People hold signs in California, right?
yeah.
But the signs that they hold is, "Can I get some money? I'm homeless." I said, "No, no, no. People stop and pay these people." I said, "Okay." I'm gonna put, I need to train somebody. I'm a personal trainer and I'm a hold aside. I got the business from homeless people. I modeled homeless people's business
Yeah.
and I got clients and I got
Wow.
an apartment. And I was
There you
like,
go.
but if I would have waited, I would have never got nothing. I didn't know how to fill out an application. I didn't know how to go to no job. You know how I got the job? I was holding a sign and someone who owned a gym walked by and said, hey, come to my gym. And they were asking me a couple questions. I said, I can't read that well, a couple things here. And they said, okay, you're hired. Right,
Wow.
there we
That's
go. So that's what I
amazing.
was saying, like, it was that. It was like, it's hard to explain to people, like, there's no reason. It was just like, I know I can be better.
Yeah.
I know I can learn to read. I
Yeah.
know I could be a good father. I was in the path of being my dang same father. Why I didn't want to be him. I'm like, I can't be this same person. I must change. He drank, I drank. I quit drinking. I was
Yeah.
like, no, no, no. He drinks, I drink. He didn't read, I don't read. I started reading. So I'm like, I need to do what he don't do. That's
Wow.
it. And that's
Man.
that's kind of how I'm seeing like is what sparked it. But it's hard to explain like what starts this, what this. I'm like,
Sure.
when you're a dream chaser, you can say this starts it. But when you go on that journey, you're like, it was really my dad abused me as a kid, and that's why I wrote
Sure.
this song. Like
Oh,
something
yeah.
weird, and you're like, whoa,
Yeah. It's like
that was what it
all
was. You're like,
traces
yeah.
back somewhere. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think you make a perfect point. It could be you don't want to be your dad. You want to be better than you are today. You want to be a good
Yeah.
dad. That's
Yeah.
wild. Well, let's chat about what it was like growing up as Oliver. So, I mean, you kind of said
Mm.
it already. Your dad drank. He didn't read. So, was that what life looked like for you? Nobody was there teaching you.
No, because I'm gonna open people's minds up because this is how I get down. Because there was a circus going on.
Yeah.
People are still living the circus. They're still having their parties and the fun and the
Yeah.
drinking and everything's having fun. So around the kids, the grown-ups just think that it's fun. But
Yeah.
no, it's a chaotic world to the kids. They're figuring it out. So to me, it wasn't so much of like, did you know your parents were drinking? Did you know? I'm like, no, because there was so much fun behind it.
Yeah.
It was years of fun, years of things. So when you're around your dad, I'm like, I was around my dad, but he was always at a party drunk or somewhere. I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't never know him. Like I never really had a dad. It's like, but he was there and I was taught to respect him. I was like, but what'd he do? I'm like, I went over his house and maybe be a cookout, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, I don't remember. Like he wasn't there. He would just I would see him, then I would wake up the next morning, he would be gone and come like you start to grow up and realize I'm like, oh, you're an adult now. Where was your dad? Maybe at the bar, maybe at a friend's house, maybe at a girl's house, maybe at some there was a life there. It wasn't that he was a terrible person. It's just
Sure.
that he's doing exactly what people who are watching this doing. You going about living your life, not realizing that the kid is being tortured by your life. You don't
Sure.
realize that. Regardless of what your actions are, you don't know. You could be going to work to make a bunch of money and you're a multimillionaire and the kid's with a nanny.
Yeah.
They're being ruined very bad, and you have no idea. But you'll find out when you're 25 years old, when they're 25 years old and they hate you, and they're like, "Why do they hate me? I gave them everything." You're like, "There you go." But they love the nanny. I'm like, so
Yeah.
because they were there every day, like that. That's the thing. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing that I think I can guarantee you, not only myself, but many people who grew up in a time zone like that, they lacked. They just lacked that
Sure.
awareness that a parent needed to put their lives aside and pretty much, jump in and start molding this young person into what, the best version they can be. But that's not what happened. People still
Yeah.
drank their drinks and watched their football and did theirs, and that was fine. But to the kid, you got to remember, like we want daddy and mommy with us all
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Come on, and they don't do it. And
Sure.
I know guilty of it myself. I'm trying to learn right now. Like I don't want to take care of no kids. I want to
Yeah.
go play. And you can't. You got to figure out that you're ruining the children, even if they're not showing it. Because look at us. Why do you think
That's
we
right.
have anxieties and PTSDs and all this? Because of our parents, because of our environment they put us through. That's all it was.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think you're gonna have like childhood traumas no matter what you go through. I think
Yeah.
it's really cool that you grow up and you learn from it. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
my dad tried, but this is how it affected me. So I'm gonna change the course
Yep.
and I'm gonna go this way. I love that you're using it as like a learning curve.
Yeah.
I want to personally thank you for taking the time to listen to these conversations. It truly means so much. We've changed so many lives for the better, and we want to continue doing so throughout 2023. This project is made possible by sponsors and patrons. So if you'd like to help keep the You're Not Alone project going and hearing these amazing stories, we would love for you to join the family at patreon.com/TownsendTmusic. Just for signing up, you'll get free merch, discounts, and behind the scenes patron only footage. not only of my music, but of each episode. That's right. So each guest on every episode answers a few more questions that only patrons will be able to watch and listen to. So head on over to patreon.com/TownsendTmusic and let's continue changing lives. So I feel like sharing your story is super vulnerable. It's really scary. Like it's scary to tell people I have all these letters behind my name.
Mhm.
So why be so open about it? Like,
'Cause I started to think about they're both the same. Open and closed are the same thing. You just get to choose which one you wanna live in, you know
that's
what I
right.
mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, I could die on this earth completely closed, but I still got the things. I still
Yeah.
think about them. 'Em. They're still there. I'm like, I'm the only one taking them with me. I'm
Yeah.
like, "Man, forget this," and it sucks because I don't even get to be me. I'm holding it the whole time. So I'm like, "Imma let this out. Imma open up the air and let it all out." And then you realize they're like, "Okay, cool. Now you're open." And you're like, all right, no one's worried. They're like a couple people if they really want to get in it. But in truth, you're good open to. You can be all messed up. And I'm like, well, dang, I've been trying to get hired as this perfect person. I've been trying to get jobs. I've been trying to get relationships. I've been trying to get all types of stuff with this perfect person. And now I'm realizing just be the OCD person who can't read and you'll get the same relationship, a better job, a better. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's why. Now I get to come on interviews and tell people like, yo, I can't read that well. I got mental issues. And they'll be like, what? I
And
couldn't get on an interview before.
exactly. I was about to say, and they're like, "Oh yeah, me too. Hey, all of us do.
Yeah,
It's all good." Yeah.
yep.
Literally, yeah. I have found with life, your problems are gonna come oozing out at some point. Like you
Heck yeah.
can't keep it all and bottled up. Like that's just not natural. Okay, so this is the part I'm most curious about. What have been your steps to learning to read? So you're 35. I tried to put myself in your shoes, like, I don't even know where I would start.
You know, this is a real powerful one, and I hope people catch this one if you want to go on this journey. You need to start where you stopped.
Okay.
Don't start. You got to be real intelligent enough to know to start where you stopped.
Yeah.
And I tell people this, and I'm focusing on it because it's important that people know that you can't just do the way you want to do it. It needs to be picked up where it was left off. I left off somewhere in elementary school. So I went back to elementary school with my behaviors, with my emotions, with everything. I temper tantrum. I don't want to do this, all like a little baby. Like what? To myself. Like why? Because that's where I left off. And I need to give that person love. I need to tell that person, don't do it. We love you. I get mad at myself. I walk out the car. I'll be angry. I come back. I'll be like, it's okay. You all right? You want to go for rollerblade or something? I'll be like, yeah, I want to go rollerblade like a kid.
Yeah.
I want to go rollerblading. You're like, you hungry? You want some ice cream? I'm like, yeah, I do it to myself. You want some ice cream? All right, go on and get some ice cream then. You need some, you're not feeling right. You treat yourself, you feel good about it. You give yourself the teacher that you deserve. I am now the teacher that I should have had. Instead of the abuser, instead of the person who hurt me, I give love to me now when I start feeling like
Wow.
pain. I give love to me. I start treating me good. I listen to music. I sit here and do what I want because now I'm giving myself the school that I deserve, the one that I should have been given as a young person. But now I'm giving it to me at 35. Your mind needs to comprehend that and say, okay, I'm gonna give myself the open space to cry like a little girl, like a little, not say little girl, but like a little boy. That's a part of my old program. I'll be like little girls or little this, because the
Yeah.
little girls cry, little boy, no.
Yeah.
Little boys cry, little girls cry. They both
That's
cry.
right.
Me, I was a crying little boy. And basically what I want to say is I want to go back to that crying little boy. And I want to be, when I'm done crying, I don't want to be like, get up. You're a man. You shouldn't be. I'm like, no, no, this man can't read, man. And it hurts really bad. So I want to cry. And then when I'm done crying, I want you maybe to come and say it's all right and give me a hug. Kiss me on the forehead like a dad would have did. Like,
Yeah.
oh, really? I'm like, yes, please. I don't care. I'm 35. Do that to me so
Yeah.
I can feel all right. And that's what we need. So I do it to myself. I just love me. I try to do as much as I can for me. And I meet myself at that age. You can't come in here and talk about I'm 35. I'm gonna read like a 35-year-old. You're not. You left off in elementary school.
Yeah.
Get back to that. Wear the same outfit. Listen to the same music. I don't care. But go back to that and start healing yourself. Because when you go there, you start to realize that people picked on you. You picked on yourself, little things, and you'll start to treat them good. Like, no, that's all right. They picked on you. I love the way you talk and you dance. Go ahead. You stutter your way away. Go
Yeah.
ahead. You get to be nice to you now. That's the best part now about being the teacher for myself. Because I'm
Ooh.
still reading like a little elementary school person.
Yeah. I love that so much. It's so self-healing. And I feel like we
Yeah.
all need that, go back and tell your small self that it's okay. You can cry. That's okay. You got
Mhm.
picked on. That's okay. I love that. I
Yep.
feel like we could all take that away.
Yep.
Man, so
100%.
yeah, yeah. So learning sounds and learning words, are you using some kind of program? Are you reaching out to teachers?
You know, this was my way, and again, this maybe that might help some people out there. I didn't know how to do anything I didn't know, so
Right.
I try to go deep with y'all, and so hopefully, because I try my best, the more I learn, I try not to hold back. Try to catch this one, because I truly believe people will study these things in the future, like,
Mhm.
because understand what I'm trying to tell you. You've all watched a movie like Frankenstein, right?
Mhm.
You know how Frankenstein comes to life, but it is life, but don't know nothing.
Mhm.
Got to give him something. Got to kind of like shock him again into some knowledge in him or something.
Yeah.
That's very similar to a person who can't read.
Sure.
Okay. So how do you tell Frankenstein to get off the bed and go down there and eat food or something? They don't know. They can't do that yet. So that's what I'm basically saying. How would you tell Frankenstein, go read? You'd have to be like, oh crap, walk over here, pick this up. Now look at this. Now that like that's where you start. So for me to tell you how I taught myself, I can't tell you because it would be like a caveman learning life. Try a
Yeah.
berry and be like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
that was good.
It
That
didn't
worked."
kill me.
Now,
Woo.
hopefully, it wasn't poisonous because if it was, that would be your last one. That's
Yeah.
very similar to my reading journey. It was
Yeah.
like, open a book. Like, what do? I know like 4 words, 5 words. Let's read those five for the next 5 months.
Yeah.
So you're reading a book, but you're only reading the 5, 6, 7 words you know. Now, as those 6 months go on, I was looking at the book and I might have seen other words, but I didn't know what they meant. But then a TV show came on and said the word with subtitle. And I was like, that word matched the word. So now I go back to the book and I'm like, oh crap, because you're still learning things in life. But since I'm looking at the book, now it's like word play. Now, if I ever see that, because I've seen it here studying it, if I see it somewhere else, like if someone says it or sends it in a text message or something, I'm like, oh. So it's teaching everywhere. It's like me being like, oh, that's what that word is. Like it's like, someone says it. So I'm like, that was the word in the book. That
Uh-huh.
was like, that's how it kind of starts to, or say you
Yeah.
drive by a stop sign and someone goes, stop, like how like
Mhm.
stop sign right there. You're like, oh, that's stop. Big red sign, the words, those all the patterns, that's stop. Now the book says stop. You're like, oh, stop, like stop, stop. Hard part is now the comprehending because now I learned how to read it. Many things like rap, a song out there called Independent, Independent. Do you know what that means?
Yeah.
Only reason I know how to tell you that is because I learned it from the song.
That's
I
right.
can't spell that normal. I have to go Independent. Like I have to keep
That's
it
right.
because I
Yeah.
learned that way. So that could be hard sometimes because I learned that word independent from a rap song. So I might be reading something, independent comes up. Now all of a sudden I'm in a rap song
That's right.
because
Yeah.
that's how I learned independent. So I might be reading Charlotte's Web, and then it says independent. On my mind goes Indep
Yeah.
because I know independent from there.
That's
So
right.
that's an even thing I have to take out because I'm like, I'm reading Charlotte's Web, not listening to the Blue Boozy song. I'm like, but that's a part of it. Like that is
Yeah.
a huge part of like when you learn how to read, they're like that. Because I didn't learn, I learned from little sparks of places. Now movies are jumping in my head from things, and I'm trying to read Charlotte's Web. I'm like, because I learned those words from those places.
Yeah.
So like when you don't learn something, that's my equivalent of knowledge. You
Right.
learned from school and the patterns and the things. I learned from a TV show. Someone said something here, a couple text messages here, people saying my images come from all over the place.
Right.
So teaching myself to read is very much just like how I learned life. It was jump in, stare at the pages, and see if something comes back. Like if something just talks back. And eventually, yeah, it wasn't easy, but it was just like I told you, became wordplay and all that. And then it finally, yeah, it came together.
God, that's amazing. Wow. Have you had a lot of people reach out and say, "Man, I have the same struggle"?
Yeah, more than you can possibly imagine. Even the wild thing I think about it is it's worldwide.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Africa, China, all like I mean everything. People messaging
Wow.
me and they're like, even on my lives, you'll see people in there. They're like, I'm in Africa right now watching you. I can't read, and I'm like, but you in Africa? They'll be like,
Yeah.
yeah, but you're
Yeah.
speaking English, and they're like, yeah, I speak English, but like it'd be like weird stuff, and I'm like, but you can't read and you can speak English, but you can't read English, but you could speak. Can you speak African? And they're like, yeah, but I can't read it. Or some people could read English, can't speak it.
Right.
And, like weird stuff, like stuff you're like,
Well,
how does that
sure.
happen? Like, I
Yeah,
never knew that could be a possibility.
absolutely. Yeah, that's
I
why.
just I just found out someone could read in English and interpret it into their language. So basically, they could be reading English and they're changing it to their language in like their mind. So if they're
Yeah.
from another country, they're changing it from the English to their
Isn't that
language.
wild?
Oh my
Amazing.
god. That literally
Amazing.
almost called me. It almost made me shut my brain down. I was like, I'm trying to learn how to read. You're like, oh my gosh, how did you do
Yeah.
that?
I am blown away by bilingual, trilingual people that can speak all
Yeah.
these different languages. So
Facts,
cool. Okay, so I
bro.
have heard statistics, and this is just through hearing them, so I can't like give you where I heard them. You can Google it for sure, but it talks about how in America only, United States, majority of the people read under a sixth grade
Mm,
reading level.
yeah,
I mean,
that's
that's a
true.
huge eye opener. And
Yeah.
I think I've heard in the past something there's an insane amount of people that are not literate. They're not able to read or write and they just kind of skirt through life like you were doing. And we just look over them because life is busy and we keep going. I think it was like 1 in 4 adults, I think is what I read, maybe. That's an in, that's an insane number. That should not be how that is. That's
Yeah, well,
crazy
it's
to
hard.
me.
It's hard because a lot of people also are really prideful. So,
Sure.
once they pass a certain age, are they gonna actually like admit that they read at a certain sixth grade level?
Right.
Even if the statistics would say that, even if they went and did a study, people will go get like study to read, and they can tell them like, oh, you only read at like a sixth grade level. Those people still wouldn't believe it. They'll walk
Oh yeah.
because they live on the earth already been reading and doing their jobs and doing the things they do. They think that they got it, and I
Mhm.
thought the same thing as well. And I think that's why I became so passionate about reading because reading is, and again, maybe people know this already or not, but maybe me just having the platform to say it allows people to listen. I have no idea. But reading is not just reading. And I'm realizing that now.
Oh
Maybe that's
yeah.
why I gotta say it. It's not. It's not just you reading a book to get the information from the book. Basically, what I'm basically saying to you is that when you go to work out, you don't put on muscle. A lot of people will say you put on muscle, right? You
Mhm.
don't. You put out. The muscle's already in you.
Mhm.
You didn't take someone didn't come and put clay on you,
Right.
and mold you. No, you started building from the inside out because you started doing what? Hard things for the body on the outside. Push-ups,
Mhm.
running, fitness stuff, eating, all the stuff, eating the right foods, putting it in, and then it came from the inside, even the food you ate, and it exposed you. It
Mhm.
started to make your skin look better, your teeth, everything. You're like, wow, you look good. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, now I'm looking good from the inside
Mhm.
out.
Mhm.
It's the same thing what happens with the brain. So I'm learning the same thing that a lot of people don't get, that if you did like different variations of workouts, it doesn't come into your head like you're the push-up workout. No, it goes into your body like your chest got big, your arms got big, but depending on your movement,
Mhm.
regardless of what you do. And it's the same thing. There's not going to be any difference between the books you read because the scary part is that the knowledge is already within you.
Yeah.
You just have to bring it out.
Mhm.
So if you start reading, a lot of people don't realize. I'm like, I started reading at elementary school level, and a lot of knowledge that philosophy people pick up on came out of me. Why?
Yeah.
I'm reading children's books. You'd be like, because you already have it in you. You just got to bring it out like muscle. When you start working out a little bit, people gonna start seeing your flex. They're like, "Oh wow, you got a nice frame." I'm like, "Yes." You start reading a little bit, see people start seeing your flex. You're a pretty
Yeah.
intelligent person. I'm like, I've just read a couple children's books. I'm like, well, imagine if you actually read a lot of books, a lot of educational books. I'm like, you must have knowledge already inside of you that you're bringing out because you're exercising your brain.
Yeah.
You're putting fitness into your brain, and that's when I started to realize. I was like, oh, this is not about books and reading and all. I'm like, this is about the fact that the human brain needs this. It's like food. It
Mhm.
needs it. You feed it. You need to feed it nutritional things so it can grow. That's all it really is. It's the water to a plant. It's just the brain is the same way. It just needs food. And the food is knowledge we've learned from books, from not even just books, but anything that in that way. Like you're saying, to us it's books, but it could be learning language, it could be learning
Mhm.
hand movements, it could be learning how to smell right things and taste things. You can learn your sight better, like, but your brain has to be worked on to do that.
Yeah.
Reading books allows us to gain the information, basically saying, I want to be a better like father. You're not going to just be a better father, you have better father in you. You could think of him, who he looks like. You could sit there and be like, man, a good father looks like this. Now, reading a book allows you to put all those pieces together. You're already a good father inside of you. Read a book that gives you a map on how to see the steps to being that person. That's what the book does. You already got good father all deep in you. You're a great father, but you got to get the information to put it, to bring it out. That's how I look at it in a way.
I love it. Man, you got some great perspective. I love it so much. These are things a lot of people wouldn't think about, you know? I love that. You're already a good person. You might just need a map to get there, you know?
Yeah.
You
Most people
you
do. How many people go through stuff and they come out of it and they're like, man, I was always this person. I was
yeah,
on drugs. I did this. I'm like, yeah, you were. I'm like, what happened? I was like, no one gave me the map to
that's right.
map through life, man. Like, I just was trying to figure it out. And I'm like,
That's right.
oh, that's all? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, oh, that was me trying to figure it out. I didn't want to hurt people and do things. I'm like, I'm trying to figure out life. If
Yeah,
I had a map on this thing, I would have did it, but there's no map.
that's right. That's right. Man, oh man, absolutely. Now you talked about how all this kind of affected your mental health, how you have all these letters and everything. And I guess you've kind of talked about it a little bit, but how are you turning all these struggles into positives? Like, are you going to counseling to kind of learn your map? Are you taking medications to learn your map? Which these are personal questions. Feel free to
Yeah.
answer or not, but just kind of curious how you're finding your way through these mental health struggles.
Uh, you know, I'm happy this is a question now because I've worked through some things, and I think only thing I've done so far is look in.
Yeah.
I take a lot of time, and I don't know if a lot of people do this, but a lot of people maybe not have these abilities to do it. I don't know what, or they don't have the time. I take a lot of time and I look in, basically saying, it's a perfect example. If someone comes up to me and slaps me, right?
Hmm.
I'm frustrated about being slapped. I'm angry about being slapped. But what I try to do is look in, because I try to ask myself, like, I'm only gonna be in any situation other than what I want it to be after they slap. I'm like, what do you want to be in? A lot of people don't take time to look in. Right at that moment, I'm like, well, I could embrace this whole moment from my life, move on, and never think about it ever again, or I could turn it into other things.
Hmm.
I could argue with them. I could do, and people in their mind, they would even have their own opinion. Like, oh, I would slap them back. I'm like, it's not about any of those things. It's the fact that you're playing in someone else's game when
Hmm.
you do those things. I don't want to play in no one else's game. I want to play in my game. And when I start to look at my own game, I got enough to handle. I'm slapping myself all day. I'm beating myself up all day. And then I realized I'm like, I was about to entertain maybe a couple hours with this. When if I took a few minutes, I'm like, I should be entertaining the fact that I got angry.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? I'm like, I allowed you to get me angry.
Yeah.
So that means anytime I leave this house, someone can take me and bring me anywhere I want to go. I'm like, that's not what I want. I want to be able to leave. They're like, but they slapped you. I'm like, I don't care. I want to go where I want to go when they slap me, not where they want me to go. They slap me looking for a reaction. I'm gonna give them the reaction I want to give them, not the
Yeah.
one they were looking for.
Yeah.
So that's the things that I started to look at, and I was like, that's hard because in life, people hand you what they want to hand you, not what you want. You
Yeah.
know, no matter what you do, like they give you what they want to. Even like coming on this podcast, it was like, it's not what you want, Oliver. It's going to be something that she would want.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's fine. Like, you have to see that. Like, you have to look at that and look in and be like, all right, what can you gain from that too? Like, what can you do from that? And not always like in the way of like, and this is what a hard thing was with me as well, not to gain for greed, to
Sure.
gain to give back, gain
Yeah.
to give back in some way. So I look at a lot of circumstances like that. I'm like, the person who usually does harm or hurts things or they're hurt themselves because I used to do it. So I started to see that and I was like, I have to approach many situations as if there's a lot of hurt people in this world and they have no idea that they're even hurt. And that started to change things for me because I was realizing, I'm like, you could be driving in the street, have someone flip you off as you cut them off in the road, but understand that's their road, that's their movie. If you stopped and just watch for a second, they'll still be screaming while they go down the street. Still like, oh man, you done. And if you watched, you'd be like, I was about to be a part of that. I was
Yep.
gonna be like, F you, did it on your way to work. It's 6 in the morning, my friend. You could ignore that situation, turn the other way, and be like, and let them to argue with the person they're about to argue down the way. Because that's not you. That was their thing from the beginning. But how many people get pulled into that because they don't look in and say, you know what? They flip me off, they cut me off. I'm safe and good. I'm about to turn off this street and I'm gonna get out of here and leave that person like, but many people won't. They have to say something back. They have to do that. They're not realizing that was the pain that I was living in. That right there. So I try to look inward for all the things that are going on. I have mental health issues. Look in. It's scary, but look inward. And I was like, okay, I do. Okay, I do. You can't read that well. Look in. Don't wait for somebody to tell you. I looked in. I was like, yes, I don't read that well. You know what I mean? Like, so what can we do to fix it?
Sure.
Okay, you learn how to read, my friend. So I would do it in my mind. I'm like, now the excuses come. Now you start to think, you're like, now you're in here. You're inward, listening to yourself talk you out of doing something for yourself. Now you have your answer, my friend. You just literally try to give up on you. Why would you give up on you? You didn't give up on that person you were about to curse out in the street. You were about to spend mad time on them. But you come home and won't spend 5 minutes on reading when it's for you. That's when I started to realize, I was like, wow, I entertain everybody before I entertain myself.
That's right.
No longer will I do that again. I was like, we gonna read. Someone cuts me off in the middle of the road, I'm gonna pull over and be like, I'm gonna read a chapter or two. Like, why? Because I'm in my purpose. They cut me off. I started reading. Like, why? Because now I realize you don't pull me where you want me to go. You pulled me right into my purpose. I started reading as soon as you flipped me off.
That's
Because
awesome.
I realized that's what I need to do. I got angry. What happens when I got angry? I looked in. I said, I'm in their movie. You read. You don't get angry with people. I'm like, yeah, let's go read. So while I'm reading, I'm angry. I'm like, oh, because now I'm programming myself to understand this is the new you. You no longer live in that. You're a reader now. So that starts to show me, I'm like, this is freeing me from other people's issues. That, because I need to focus on mine. I was about to argue with you, and I need to learn how to read. So if I'm gonna argue with you, that means pick up a book because I have time.
Heck yeah.
So I'm like, let's go. That's how I look at it now.
I
And I'll
love
be
that.
literally in those moments. I'll be in an argument almost with my lady. You know, we're human. And I'll be like, hold on. Something's not right. Hold on. I'm arguing with you. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, no. No, I'll be back. Where you going? I don't know. I gotta go read in the car or something. Like, it's like, I know it might not be the best thing. Might not be, but in my mind, I know I'm like, this stops this. Because that's not what I want to do. I don't ever want to fight and argue with you. I love you. 10 minutes ago, you were the most beautiful woman I've ever met in the world. Now I'm like, oh, no. There's something happening here. I'm being tricked here. My mind's playing with me. So I'll go right to where I need to be. Let's go read.
Wow.
10 minutes later, I'm like, I love you, baby. What's going on? How you doing? She's like, oh, you're back, huh? I'm like, because you see, you're
Just
like, this
needed
is
a
what we
break.
do. Yeah, that's it. But breaking your purpose. So I go, that person who's a singer, you get angry. After you done got in a fight with your husband or somebody like that, I guarantee you, I bet you, I dare you to go and write a song. Be the biggest song ever came out. You'd be like, I don't know what happened. I'm like, I told you, because you was in your purpose. Go write a song after they done just flipped you off and made you mad. I promise you that song will be a hit. That's how most of these viral videos went. How you think those viral videos went? I was angry. I came out here, I was like, I can't read. And then viral. Like, why? I mean, because you in your purpose. In your moment of where you were supposed to shut down and argue with your girlfriend, you came to the camera and told the world your problem.
Man, I love that.
Yeah, right here for you.
Think about how better the world would be if we all did that.
That's why I'm doing it, to hopefully help other people to start thinking like it.
I love that. Man, that's so cool. I feel like if anybody takes something away, that's a really cool one to do it. Like stopping your thought, like stopping your tracks, think about it for a second. And instead of reacting, maybe do something purposeful. I love that. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. And I use that for mental health. So that's what I say. So that's how it helped me with the
Absolutely.
whole thing. Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's so cool. I love that so much. And I love like how even just you're training yourself. Like don't react that way. How would you want to react? I love that. Okay, what advice would you have for other people who may want to start reading at a later age? Because like we talked about earlier, it's pretty common. What would be your advice to them to get started?
To finally, honestly, from things that I would want, to finally accept your level of reading, accept who you are. And when you do that, realize you when you accept it, take some time to understand that you might have had the wrong viewpoint to something that had way too much it had too much behind it.
Yeah.
Reading and learning should have had been more of a loving, comforting, welcoming kind of thing. We've been taught that it needs to be drilled and painfully hurt into, and if you don't get it, you're gonna lose. That's complete. That's a joke. It's a lie. This is something that should be treated delicately, just like you treat mental health. This is something that you're like, hey, you read a page today? Congratulations. Congratulations. You're like, what? You read a word? Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulate. Like, that's it. You'd be like, what? I didn't do a book. You'd be like, a book? Nobody asked for that.
Yeah.
Not at all. What do you mean? When do I become a reader? When you thought about it. You thought about becoming a reader? You're a reader now. but I don't know how to read a book. Now you don't need to know how to read a book to be a reader. Like,
Yeah.
this is the things that I want people to start to understand. There's nothing that should hold you back. Not even not knowing how to read should hold you back. Meaning, take your time, do it your way. If you're going on the journey to do it, that's the journey. That's it right there. It's not knowing how to read. Should I know? It's the fact that you're in it. You're
Yeah.
sitting there going, hey, today I went to the store and bought a book. You'd be like, did you open it? No, I bought it though. He'd be like, yes. Oh, wow. You're a winner. You
Step
a big
one,
winner.
you got
Like,
it.
that's it. There's no wrong steps. I ain't read all month. Congratulations. You reading today? Like, yeah, congratulations. I'm happy you took 1 month to read one page. You'd be like, that's a thing? That's a real thing. You do this until the days your eyes don't open up.
Yeah.
And do it slow. That's it. The only way you need to go like faster or anything like that is if you know it. If you're like, I need it. I'm doing that because I know I need to do that in my mind. But this is not something that I have to get up and do every day hard. This is just something, if I wanted to read a page every other week, then that's fine. I'm a reader now. I'm a part of the reading world. That's it.
Yeah. I love that so much. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard because a lot of people beat themselves up. I know that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
in the world of the people who don't, there's things that I can't even mention that they make up in their own mind.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to tell them that's your mind.
Yep.
You need to let go of that and understand that I'm telling you that the moment you thought about reading, you became a reader. Your mom and dad who told you you're not good or you never, no, that's all lies. Don't listen to anything no one told you. Whatever you do, if you picked up a book and said, I read 1 page a day, you're now a part of the reading world. Congratulations, welcome. You can just set it up right there. You're good to go. Now go on about your life. You're perfectly fine.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely. I do the same thing with other things. So I'm able to read, but like learning a new instrument, I get so frustrated that I just don't know it. And I do that enough that I don't even try. So I love the idea of, you know what, you picked it up today. Congrats.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look how far you've come probably in like being probably a musician in any form. You probably can't remember, but everything you got has been practiced.
Just little
There's nothing that,
steps.
yeah. The
Yeah.
ones you know you might be good, but you're like, hold on, but what if I wanted to, like, for instance, what if you're like, I want to sing in another language? That would be in your mind, like, come on. Like, I'm like, but
Yeah.
why not? Like in my head, I'd be like, why not? Do you really want to? But and it's hard, you'd be like, yeah, it's hard, but I really want to. I'm like, you have no idea how fast you're gonna learn that. In
Yeah.
a year, you will be singing that song. And you're like, what? Like, I'm telling you, like, you just go there. Go there. Especially if you're like, I want to do that. Go there. I'm gonna learn another language. I want to learn Spanish. I'm going there.
Yeah.
Not right this moment because I need to learn how to read English first. But I'm going. I'm going to read Spanish. I want to learn it. I'm
That's
not
awesome.
gonna wait. When it's time for me and
That's
my
right.
brain's ready, I'm gonna pick up that darn book and I'm going in. And that's it. I'm gonna put myself through it. Because why not?
Yeah.
This is a pass through. This ride through this life is a pass through. Like, you're going through something. You came in here, you're going through this life. Get everything you can get before it's all over. Don't just sit on the couch and just, not calling people couch potatoes, but I'm trying to tell you is,
Yeah.
don't just sit there and watch meaningless stuff.
Yeah.
If you're like, I like to knit, sit on the couch and watch people knit then. Don't watch meaningless stuff. Watch people knit and knit with them. That's what I'm saying to you. You can do knitting, but be a part of it. Don't just sit there and be like, I do nothing. I'm like, no, there's something you can do. Knitting is an amazing gift. Do it. Just do something to stimulate the mind, the body, the brain. Just do that.
Yeah. I love that. Well, now you got me all motivated. I feel like I gotta go
Oh,
learn
yeah.
something new right now.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so last question I have, I feel like I could go on and on, but last question I have that I feel like a lot of people are super interested in, they always want to know, where do you find the most support? So do you feel like
Wow.
social media? Do you feel like
Mm.
friends and family? Like, what do you feel like has supported you the most through this journey?
Okay, I'm gonna be the first one to say it. I'm not the type of person who wants to just be all on technology and everything like
Yeah,
that because I grew up in a world where it's like, it's not the safest world because it's always like never people face to face, but it is our world. Look at us right now.
that's
Who the
right.
heck are we to talk about anything other? We're doing it. So I just want to drop this on y'all real quick. I went on the social media the other day. I seen somebody playing Madden live on TikTok, and there was like 2,000 people watching this person, right? While they played Madden live. And I'm one of those type of people. I don't play no games. When I see something, I'm like, listen, I don't know if it's a gift or what it is, but I said to myself, I said, in the future, NFL football will be on live, and the biggest player will be in a wheelchair. I was like, isn't that something? I was like, now, if you told a kid right now, go like make a Wish Foundation or something who's in
Mhm.
no legs, that they could be the next Tom Brady, someone right now, if they're saying that, it's a joke. Like in school, I'm gonna be Tom Brady. You're in a wheelchair. How? I'm gonna be the next biggest quarterback in the world. How? You're in a wheelchair. Small-minded people will tell you you can't.
Yeah.
People who think with a large mind, who think beyond, will say, I'm telling you, I'm watching the future. NFL football will be on live one day. On live, people playing it on live. They'll be doing both. Because the way the world's going, if a random Joe Schmo was playing Madden in his living room with 2,000 people watching him, do you imagine what happens if Tom Brady gets on there? I'm like, just think of what I'm trying to tell you. I'm like, so understand what I'm saying to you. I'm like, people are looking to watch people do these type of things. I'm sorry to tell you. So support for me came from TikTok.
Yeah.
That's the support that I got when it came to the journey of the reading. When it came to the support for emotional and how to go through things, that came from family. It came from my lady, my kids, certain things like that. But the support when it came from, like when people were like, I want to chase a dream and just, try to get some people to back me on it. The internet, the social media did that. So today's days, if you're going into a world, what you're trying to do kind of now, you're seeing it too. You're like, the internet, something's in here.
Yeah.
But most people our age, when we were growing up, which were our parents, they wouldn't have got on TikTok and did the funny dances or some things like that. They would have been too prideful, because Susie from next door would have said your hair's two certain ways, and such up the seat would have said you're married and you got kids, and such and such up here would have said you can't do that. You're getting older. You wouldn't have did it. But today's time, I'm like, man, I'm 35 years old. I'm not them older people that grew up in the 90s. I'm gonna get out here with these young kids. I'm gonna learn some reading. I'm gonna learn some dance moves. I'm gonna do it all. Like, why? Because I'm not about to fall behind. I'm not doing that. I'm like, listen, my whole shots for playing football were over. Do you realize if I start playing NFL football or someone, I'm like, I might be able to be a perfect. I'm like, but that's what people don't get. You washed up at home, doing your job that you don't like. Because just because you don't like it don't mean it's not a good job. But you doing a job you don't like, thinking in your mind, man, I always wanted to be playing this or doing this. And you're like, your shots is over. You messed up. You're older now. But look at how the world works. 2,000 people watch someone play Madden live. Everyone knows that sports is just an addictive game. It means if there's no crowd, no one really wants to play.
Yeah.
If there ain't no crowd, no one's going to play.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to tell you is, if you're in your living room having 2,000 people watch you play a game that you love playing, I think those dreams can come back. Yeah. I think you can feel your highlight, trophy days.
Yeah.
That would be a better husband in your house. Wouldn't it be fun to be in a house where you're playing video games with your kids all day? Now, your current relationship may not like that, but your future relationship with someone else or something else might be perfect, because you're not listening to Susie and them and the next door neighbor and the keeping up with the Joneses and this person's. You're not. You're finally like, I'm doing my thing. I'm going back to my dream. I'm chasing my thing again. And the internet has giving people with disabilities, people who can't read, opportunities. I'm now a influence sensation online for not knowing how to read and teaching myself to read in books. They counted me out. Saying you ain't never gonna know how to read. They sent me to prison. I was in special ed. And now people ask me for book advice.
That's all right.
People asking me to come sign their books. I was in special ed. I was going to dumb kid. I shouldn't be doing nothing with books, but the internet changed that. Now they call me and say, hey, you want to come do the book thing and do? I'm like, little old me, the same dude who used to have a desk in the principal's office and called the bad kid. We're never gonna make it. Went to prison. Got all types of. I'm like, look at it now. Now I go and I give people books, and people ask me for book recommendations.
Isn't that so cool, man? Isn't that cool though? I mean, do you hear that? Like how cool that is?
Yep.
Man,
really
I love
cool.
it so much. Man,
just to
absolutely.
think of that, I was like, I was that kid. Now they ask me for book recommendations.
That's right. That's right.
Celebrities ask me to come on their show and talk about books.
No
Think
kidding.
about that. I'm like, what the heck?
Who am I? Yeah, no, I love it so much. I hope all your teachers and classmates, all the people that put you down, people that rooted for you, all everybody, I hope they see how far you've come.
Oh yeah.
And just the people watching and listening, like, okay, yeah, maybe I can do this. I love it so much.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, just for sharing your positive view on light. Man, I feel motivated. Like, I feel ready to go learn something.
Yes.
I appreciate you joining us.
That's the main thing that I want people to take from me, because I want people to understand that I am a motivational speaker first, before everything. The learning and everything, like when it comes to my career. So like, what do you do for your career? That's my career. Yeah. But the reading and all these things that I'm doing are hoping to shape that into a better version, to give information to people the right way. That's why I'm learning all this stuff that I got to do. Like, I want to be a better version of me.
That's right. That's right. I think you're headed in the right direction. Well, thank you so much for joining us,
Thank you.
Oliver. We're going to be keeping up with your journey, and I'm
Thanks.
excited to see what all you do.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, everybody that's listening, if you want to hear the extra questions we do with Oliver, log on to patreon.com/Townsendtmusic. If not, we will see you next week.
If you'd like to hear the rest of this interview, visit patreon.com/Townsendtmusic. And don't forget, you can also watch the interviews on our YouTube channel at Townsendtmusic YouTube.
Okay, guys, if you're in the market to buy or sell, I have the perfect company for you. Clark & Co. Realty is located in the Benton, Bryant, Arkansas area, but they're able to serve you no matter where you're located in the state. They've streamlined the process of buying or selling a home to make it so much easier. They have a team of industry experts that make sure you have access from anything you can think of. I'm talking from local home inspectors to painters to gardeners and so much more, just to provide you with the best service possible. They're dedicated to providing the most up-to-date market data in the area. And I think the coolest part is if you go on their website, you can use their easy-to-use fast property search. You can even create a custom market report to see what's active, under contract, and sold in your neighborhood. Their team is made up of caring, knowledgeable professionals that work around the clock to help you with the process of buying and selling your home. So again, if you're in the market to buy or sell, Clark & Co. Realty is definitely the company for you. Tell them Townsend sent you. Let's be honest. I think we could all use somebody to talk to every now and then. Healing Path Counseling in Conway, Arkansas is 100% my go-to when it comes to therapy. Wendy Blackwood has more credentials than letters in the alphabet. She's won awards for her outstanding services and has a whole page of board memberships. Basically, she knows what she's doing. She works hard to help equip you with the tools needed to live your best life. She even offers a variety of services, including, but not limited to, cognitive behavioral therapy, technology-assisted counseling, relationship counseling, and EMDR. Trust me, I know therapy can be intimidating at first, but let me assure you, Wendy does her best to make you comfortable and find the best solutions and plans for you. Trust me, don't wait to make the call. Give Wendy Blackwood at Healing Path Counseling a call today. Get started on the best version of you.